Hi guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and here's the layout we're going to be creating today. And so I'm using this mirror paper from Studio Calico, and you're actually only going to see a little tiny peek of this paper because the white cardstock is going to be the majority of my layout. So you're going to see I'm going to cut it right now down to 11.5 by 11.5 because I do want a border of that silver shiny paper to show. And I'm also going to put a black mat around it as well, just to give it a little more definition. And there's going to be some very subtle black detailing throughout this layout, so I wanted to make sure to have some of that black in the background as well. And this is one of those layouts, there's a couple of cool techniques in this layout, but this is one of those layouts that was created basically because of a product. So rather than starting with my pictures or starting with a story specifically, this one kind of started with a product that I wanted to use in a different way. So right there you're going to see in the background I have grabbed my mint color shine and I'm creating kind of a diagonal across the background, and I covered up the corners because I didn't want a lot of color there, and then I go back and spritz in a little bit in those overlapping areas so that it doesn't look quite so boxy. And then I'm going to come in with my Amy Tan stencils and some metallic silver texture paste. And I'm going to do two areas of triangles, one in the top left and one in the bottom right. And so those are going to add some dimension in each one of those areas. And so this is a really fun way to just add some kind of interest in the background. And so what I do off camera, and you'll see this texture in a second, with this texture paste, I used my heat gun. And there you see what I have done is apply that heat gun pressure or the heat gun temperature up pretty close to the paper, and what it does is it causes the texture paste to bubble. And sometimes that would be a bad thing because you want it to be that smooth three-dimensional texture. But in this case I actually really wanted those bubbles because it really adds a neat look to the rest of the page. And you'll see that when you see the close-ups at the end of the video. So it's something to keep in mind that it is a little bit different look you can create with your texture paste. And here you see, this is that product I was talking about. So I really wanted to use these Becky Higgins Instax frames. I don't do Instax, I don't have an Instax camera, but I thought the frames were adorable. So this is where the product kind of guided this layout. So I decided I wanted to create a cluster across that diagonal of all of these different silver and gold frames. And that product went perfectly with the pink Paislee C'est La Vie collection, which is where the embellishing and some of the little details for this page are going to come from. So the two photos there that I have put in those middle frames are of my daughter on a trip to Hawaii. We went last spring break, and all of my kids learned how to paddleboard for the very first time. And it was a really big deal to them that not only did the adults learn how, because none of us had ever gone, but that the kids also learned how. And it was funny because they are so small that their center of gravity is so easy to maintain that they looked like experts out there in the pool, like they had been doing this their whole life. And they thought that it was so funny that the adults struggled, but the kids did really great. So the pictures are not phenomenal because they are from the shoreline while my daughter's out there with my husband. But they worked really well in these frames and on a layout like this because you can draw that detail to them even though they are smaller and a little bit darker silhouettes. So there you see down in the bottom left, I'm creating my title, which is going to say Crazy Fun Forever. And so that's kind of how this day was. It was crazy, it was fun, everybody had a really great time, enjoyed the activities we were doing. So here you're going to see me try and play with some more of that C'est La Vie collection and decide if I want to add some more pink detailing. I had put pink behind that frame up in the middle, just one of the pattern papers from the 6x6 paper pad. So I was trying to make sure I had balanced the pink details around the page. And you see there I've added some stamping off camera in the pink frame as well as under my title that says Life is a Grand Adventure. And here you see I'm going back in with some black color shine just to add some splatters to give it some more of that subtle black that we were talking about. So there's just some fine black detailing as well as my journaling throughout that layout. So I wanted to make sure I had enough to kind of tie everything together. And I also added some black detailing around that and sign up at the top to make it stand out since it was vellum. And I do go back and add it into the middle, which you'll see in these final photos. So I really hope you enjoyed this layout. It was super fun to create and based around this Instax product. I hope you'll like and subscribe below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!